Sagittarius, destiny's call. You're being guided to leave, but it's not what you think. Lately you may have felt it. A restlessness you cannot quite name, a quiet tension in the air around you. It is as if the very walls of your life, once familiar and warm, have begun to close in on you. You sense it not in words but in silences. Not in direct actions but in small distances. A forgotten message, a shift in someone's gaze. A conversation where your name is no longer spoken with the same affection. These are not accidents. They are the signs of an unseen current moving beneath the surface, nudging you toward a new horizon. And while it may appear that someone is quietly pushing you away, the truth is far deeper. The universe is preparing you to step out of a place that no longer carries your light. Sagittarius, you were never meant to live in confinement. You are the archer of the zodiac, guided by the flame of truth and the unshakable call of freedom. For you, life is not about staying where it is safe, but about discovering what is real. And when the space you once called home becomes too small for your soul, you will feel it. You will sense the dissonance. You will notice that the laughter no longer reaches your heart, that the rooms you walk through feel colder even when filled with people. Your spirit whispers, "This is no longer mine." It is painful, isn't it? To remain present in a place where love has already withdrawn its warmth. To wake up and realize that the energy that once embraced you now feels like a silent rejection. You may begin to question yourself. Am I imagining this? Am I being too sensitive? Did I do something wrong? But hear me, Sagittarius. Your intuition is not lying to you. You are not too sensitive. You are simply tuned into truth before it can be spoken aloud. That is your gift and sometimes your burden. You see, others may try to manipulate the space around you. Not with harsh words but with cold absence. They may not tell you to leave, but their silence creates the illusion that you no longer belong. This is not a reflection of your worth, Sagittarius. It is a reflection of their inability to stand in the presence of your light. For when you walk into a room, you carry more than yourself. You carry wisdom, honesty, and the fire of authenticity. And for some, that fire feels unbearable because it reveals what they have tried to hide. But here is the sacred truth. No one can erase your belonging. No one can write you out of your destiny. What feels like rejection is not a punishment. It is guidance. It is the universe clearing the path ahead, so that you do not spend your precious fire in a place that no longer honors you. You are not being pushed out, Sagittarius. You are being redirected toward the life that was always meant for you. Take a breath. Feel that truth settle into your chest. You do not need to fight for approval, to plead for a place at the table, or to dim your light to make others comfortable. The silence around you, as painful as it feels, is not meant to break you. It is meant to awaken you. It is meant to remind you that your journey is not about staying where you are tolerated, but about moving toward where you are celebrated. And yes, I know the ache of leaving, of sensing that what was once your shelter is now a cage. But remember this. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion and divine blessing. You were never created for smallness. When doors close around you, it is because new gates are opening. When people pull away, it is because your spirit is being prepared for companions who will walk beside you with honesty and love. This is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a greater chapter. So hold on to this message. You are not being excluded, you are being liberated. Not cast out, but called forth. You are not losing your home. You are being led to discover the place where your soul can finally rest and thrive. And as we step into the next part of this journey together, I will help you see who is behind these subtle shifts, why their energy has turned, and most importantly, why your destiny is too powerful to be diminished by their silence. Gate 1: The Hidden Truth. Sagittarius, the first truth you must face is this. When the universe begins to move you, it rarely does so with loud announcements. Instead, it whispers through cracks in the everyday, through silences that sting more than words, through small signs that seem almost invisible until your soul pieces them together. And you, dear Archer, are one of the most attuned to these subtle signals. Your fire senses dishonesty long before it is named. Your spirit catches the shift in someone's gaze, the hesitation in their smile, the space that grows even in the middle of a crowded room. Perhaps you've noticed it recently. Someone close to you, a friend, a colleague, even a partner, no longer looks at you with the same openness. They still speak your name, but the tone has changed. They still invite you, but their energy is absent when you arrive. They still stand beside you, but you feel their soul has stepped back. At first you tell yourself, I must be imagining this. You blame your restlessness, your sensitivity. But your Sagittarius intuition, fiery and sharp, will not let you dismiss what you feel. You know deep inside the bond has shifted. I want you to remember something important. When the connection you once trusted begins to erode, it is not always because you did something wrong. Often, it is because your presence has grown too bright for those who remain attached to their shadows. Sagittarius, your gift is truth. You are the seeker, the philosopher, the one who names what others would rather leave unsaid. And the closer someone stands to you, the harder it is for them to hide from themselves. Think of Maria, a Sagittarius woman who once told me her story. She had worked in the same business partnership for 10 years, building not just success but a sense of family. For a long time it felt right. But slowly, she began to notice that her ideas were met with silence, that meetings went on without her, that decisions were made in rooms she was no longer invited into. She hadn't changed. If anything, she had grown more confident, more aligned with her purpose. And that was the problem. Her light exposed what others in her circle wanted to ignore. Instead of confronting their own lack of integrity, they quietly pushed her to the margins. Maria thought she was losing her place. But in truth, the universe was shifting her out of an environment too small for her spirit. Do you see the pattern, Sagittarius? When people pull away, when silence grows thick around you, it often says more about them than it does about you. They may smile, but their eyes no longer settle on you. They may include you in the room, but the energy says, please go. And because you dislike conflict, you may quietly consider stepping back, placing your own hand on the doorknob as if leaving is the noble choice. But hear me. You are not meant to abandon yourself just because others cannot handle your light. This is the hidden truth of your situation. The very discomfort you feel, the very rejection you sense, is not a punishment but a mirror. Your authenticity forces others to confront their own falsehoods. And instead of rising to meet the truth, many retreat, creating the illusion that you no longer belong. But illusions do not erase destiny. Sagittarius, think of yourself as a flame in a room full of shadows. At first, the light seems comforting. But as it grows, it reveals corners that some would prefer to keep hidden. Those who are not ready for truth will recoil. They will dim themselves, or they will quietly attempt to dim you. But you must remember, light does not apologize for existing. Fire does not shrink to make darkness comfortable. Another example comes from James, a Sagittarius man who loved deeply, perhaps too deeply. In his marriage he gave everything: honesty, laughter, loyalty. But over time he noticed the silence. His wife would nod, but her eyes no longer met his. The meals they once shared became empty rituals. When he suggested dreams of traveling, exploring, expanding, her response was always the same silence, the same absence. He thought he was asking for too much. But the truth was he was simply being himself. A Sagittarius yearning for growth. She, however, could not meet him there. And rather than saying it aloud, she withdrew in silence, leaving James to wonder if he was the problem. He wasn't. His only fault was being true to his Sagittarian soul. So I ask you, Sagittarius, are you noticing this in your own life? Do you feel the subtle push of silence, the invisible walls built around your fire? Do you sense that you are being asked without words to shrink, to step back, to leave? If so, know this: you are not being rejected. You are being shown that the chapter is ending. The universe uses silence not to punish you, but to prepare you. The hidden truth is that you have outgrown this place. Your spirit has stretched too far, your fire has burned too bright, your honesty has rung too clear. And rather than celebrating your growth, those around you may quietly resent it. That is their battle, not yours. Your battle is simply this: to trust yourself enough not to walk away in shame, but to stand tall in your light until the next door opens. Sagittarius, remember, you were born under a sign ruled by Jupiter, planet of truth and expansion. You are not here to tiptoe around lies or to make yourself small. You are here to live boldly, to speak truth, to chase horizons no one else dares to see. And when the universe reveals that a place no longer holds your destiny, it will whisper through absence, through silence, through the strange ache of not belonging. That is your cue. That is the moment to listen. Do not mistake their withdrawal as your failure. It is your initiation. The hidden truth is that destiny is calling you forward. And those who cannot walk beside your light will simply fade into the background, leaving space for the ones who can. Gate to the nature of the conflict. Sagittarius, now that the veil has been lifted and you begin to see the hidden truth, let us step deeper into the heart of this conflict. For what you are facing is not simply the coldness of one person, nor the silence of a fading relationship. It is something far greater. It is the eternal tension between light and shadow, between truth and illusion. And you, the archer, have been chosen to stand in this battlefield. You see, Sagittarius, your sign is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, wisdom, and divine justice. You are not here to live half-truths. You are not here to remain silent in the face of dishonesty. Your very essence is to seek out what is real, to strip away the masks, to reveal what others cannot bear to see. And this is where the conflict begins. The moment your fire burns bright enough to expose what others have tried to keep hidden, resistance will rise. This conflict does not always wear the face of anger. More often it hides behind politeness, behind calculated indifference, behind smiles that do not reach the eyes. It shows up as silence, as the accidental forgetting of your name, as conversations that continue without you. It shows up as subtle comments meant to make you doubt yourself. The conflict is not physical, Sagittarius. It is energetic. It is spiritual. Think of Susan, another Sagittarius soul I once met. She worked for years in a community project, pouring her heart into serving others. She stayed late, gave more than anyone else, and became the backbone of the team. But over time, she noticed the strange shift. Invitations no longer reached her, decisions were made without her input, and her name was left out of acknowledgments. On the surface, everything seemed polite, even kind. But beneath it, there was a quiet removal happening. Why? Because her presence, her light, had become a mirror to others who preferred mediocrity. Instead of facing their own lack of devotion, they decided to silence hers. Sagittarius, your light does not only inspire, it also unsettles. It unsettles those who would rather remain in illusions, those who fear growth, those who feel threatened by your honesty. And here lies the conflict. You are a natural seeker of truth, but not everyone around you is ready to face it. The ancients knew this. In Buddhist teachings, there is a reminder. When your light makes others uncomfortable, it is not your fault. Light does not apologize to darkness for existing. In scripture too there is wisdom. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against unseen forces. The conflict you are experiencing is not truly with the people who withdraw from you. It is with the shadows they carry, the fear they refuse to release, the lies they are not ready to confront. And yet, here is where the danger lies for you, Sagittarius. Because you are generous, because you are hopeful, because you want to believe in the goodness of others, you begin to wonder if maybe you are wrong. You tell yourself, maybe I was too direct. Maybe my dreams are too big. Maybe my fire burns too hot. You begin to shrink, not because you were defeated, but because you allowed their discomfort to become your doubt. But let me be clear. You are not wrong for shining. You are not wrong for wanting more. You are not wrong for being unwilling to stay in smallness when your spirit was made for greatness. The conflict is not about you failing. The conflict is about you standing in your truth while others cling to their illusions. This is why it hurts so much. Because unlike some, you do not love lightly. You do not commit half-heartedly. Sagittarius, when you love with your whole fire. When you belong, you give all of yourself. And so, when the energy around you begins to reject you, it feels like losing a part of yourself. It feels like betrayal, even when no harsh words are spoken. It feels like rejection, even though no one dared to say it aloud. But remember this. Not every silence is respect. Not every smile is friendship. Not every invitation is inclusion. Sometimes silence is a weapon. Sometimes kindness is a mask. Sometimes the very people who say they stand with you are the ones planting the seeds of your exile. The conflict is subtle, invisible, and that makes it all the more dangerous. Sagittarius, do you know why this is happening now? Because you are stepping into a new frequency. Your spirit is expanding, your vision is widening, your destiny is calling you higher. And when your vibration rises, not everyone around you can rise with it. Some will resist. Some will envy. Some will quietly attempt to pull you down so that they do not feel left behind. But you cannot dim yourself to make others comfortable. You cannot remain small so that others do not feel insecure. You cannot trade your destiny for their approval. The nature of this conflict is not that you are being cast out. It is that you are being tested. Tested to see if you will choose silence over truth, comfort over growth, approval over authenticity. Let me remind you of this sacred truth. Sagittarius, you are a traveler of worlds both inner and outer. You are not here to cling to one small space. You are here to journey, to expand, to discover. When the universe begins to stir conflict around you, it is not to destroy you. It is to unsettle you enough that you cannot remain where you are. It is to make staying more uncomfortable than leaving, so that you will choose the path of destiny over the illusion of safety. So breathe deeply, Sagittarius. Feel the fire in your chest. This conflict you are sensing is not the end. It is the threshold. It is the sacred battle between your truth and their fear, between your light and their shadow. And you are not meant to lose. You are meant to stand tall, to let the arrows of your soul aim higher than ever before. In the next part, we will step even deeper into the illusions that are being stripped away, into the lies that crumble when your fire rises, and into the sacred promise that no matter who withdraws, your destiny cannot be removed. Gate 3: The Illusion Breaking. Sagittarius, when the universe begins to unravel illusions, it often feels like the ground shifting beneath your feet. What once seemed solid, certain, familiar, suddenly feels fragile, like glass about to shatter. And though it is painful, this breaking is necessary, because illusions are prisons disguised as homes. You, the archer, were never meant to live in a cage, no matter how comfortable it once appeared. Think of the times you held on tightly to relationships, jobs, or places because they seemed safe. The words spoken were kind, the routine steady, the surface calm. But deep within you sensed the cracks. You noticed the pauses in conversations, the half-smiles, the invitations that stopped arriving. You felt yourself slowly excluded without explanation. And because you are hopeful by nature, you tried to ignore it. You told yourself, maybe I'm imagining this. Maybe things will go back to how they used to be. But Sagittarius, illusions cannot last forever. The truth always arrives, and when it does, it demands to be seen. This is what is happening now. The illusion is breaking. The image of belonging where you are no longer aligned, the belief that if you just work harder, love deeper, stay longer, everything will heal, is fading. The silence you've endured is no longer just absence. It is evidence. The coldness you've felt is not an accident. It is the shadow of a truth your soul has been whispering for months. This place, this connection, this chapter, is no longer where your destiny lives. Let me tell you about Lisa, a Sagittarius who once built her life around a long-term friendship. For years they were inseparable, traveling together, supporting each other, dreaming together. But slowly Lisa noticed the changes. Her friends stopped returning calls, canceled plans at the last minute, and when they did meet, the energy was strained. Lisa thought, maybe she's busy, maybe I'm asking for too much. But the truth was simpler. Her friend's path had diverged, and instead of saying it aloud, she created distance through silence. Lisa held on to the illusion for years, refusing to believe the bond was gone. But the day came when she could no longer deny it. The illusion broke, and though it broke her heart, it also set her free to walk toward new connections aligned with who she was becoming. Sagittarius, breaking illusions always feels like loss at first. You grieve not only the people or places you leave behind, but the dreams you once wove around them. You grieve the version of yourself that believed this was permanent, this was forever. And yet, beneath the grief there is liberation. Because when the illusion shatters, what remains is truth. And truth, no matter how painful, is the only ground strong enough to build your future upon. You see, your fire was never meant to flicker in the dark corners of someone else's denial. You were born to burn under the open sky, guided by Jupiter's expansive wisdom. When you accept illusions, you shrink. When you cling to what no longer fits, you betray your own soul. But when you allow the illusion to break, you free yourself to step into your true path. This is the cosmic lesson for you now. Not every smile is love. Not every invitation is belonging. Not every silence is peace. Some smiles hide envy, some invitations are meant to control. Some silences are weapons designed to make you doubt your worth. And as long as you accept these illusions, you remain trapped. But Sagittarius, you are not meant to be trapped. You are meant to fly. Do you feel the shattering within? The old story you've been telling yourself is unraveling. The story that you must earn your place. The story that you must dim your fire so others feel safe. The story that staying quiet is noble. These are illusions and they are breaking. And though the breaking feels like chaos, it is in truth a birth. Let us remember. When a seed breaks open, it looks like destruction. But it is actually growth. When a cocoon tears apart, it looks like death. But it is actually transformation. And when illusions shatter, it looks like loss. But it is actually freedom. Sagittarius, you are in that moment now, the sacred breaking, where the old shell cracks and your true wings begin to unfold. But there is something else here, something deeper. Often, the universe allows illusions to remain just long enough for you to learn compassion. You stayed in that relationship longer than you should have, not because you were weak, but because you needed to learn patience. You worked in that job beyond its expiration date, not because you lacked courage, but because you needed to learn perseverance. You silenced your truth to keep the peace, not because you didn't know better, but because you needed to understand the weight of compromise. These illusions were not mistakes, Sagittarius. They were classrooms. But now the lesson is complete. The walls are falling. And you must step into the light of truth. Think of your soul as a bow and truth as the arrow. Every illusion you release pulls the string back further, building tension, preparing the shot. And when the illusion finally breaks, when you release what was never real, your arrow of destiny flies straighter, farther, truer than ever before. This is the power of the breaking. So Sagittarius, do not mourn too long what is leaving you. Do not cling to the fragments of a mask. Let it fall. Let it shatter. Because beyond the breaking lies clarity. Beyond the breaking lies freedom. Beyond the breaking lies the wide horizon you have always been seeking. In the next part, we will explore what happens when you step beyond the illusion. The sacred destiny awaiting you, the protection that surrounds you, and the reason this breaking is not the end, but the beginning of your truest journey. Gate 4, Destiny's Call. Sagittarius, when the illusion finally breaks, what follows is not emptiness but a voice. A voice so ancient and so familiar that you realize it has always been there, whispering beneath the noise. This is the call of destiny. The arrow you were born to release, the road you were always meant to walk. And now, with the masks fallen away, you can finally hear it clearly. All your life, Sagittarius, you have been drawn to horizons, to the places where the map ends, to the questions no one else dares to ask, to the truths hidden beyond the familiar. You were not born to settle in one room, one role, one identity. You are the traveler, the philosopher, the seeker of higher meaning. And so it is no coincidence that the universe is pushing you out of a place that no longer fits. It is because you are being summoned toward something larger, something brighter, something that requires your fire to burn without restraint. This call often begins as restlessness. You may feel it as an ache in your chest, a sudden dissatisfaction with routines that once felt comfortable. You may notice dreams stirring, ideas reawakening, visions of a different life flashing before you. First you resist. You think, but I built so much here. I sacrificed so much. Why should I leave? Yet the call grows louder. It pulls you like a magnetic force, reminding you that safety is not your destiny. Expansion is. Consider Maria, a Sagittarius woman who worked for decades in the same family business. She was respected, needed, but over the years the silence around her grew heavy. Her contributions went unnoticed, her voice uninvited. She felt herself shrinking. And then one night, while staring at the stars, she heard it. A deep inner knowing that she was meant for more. Within months, she left the business, pursued her dream of writing, and within a year, her words were touching souls across the world. What looked like loss was really redirection. What felt like exile was actually the arrow of destiny being released. Sagittarius, your journey is much the same. What you are leaving behind is not a punishment. It is preparation. The universe removes you from where you no longer belong, not to strip you of identity, but to lead you toward the truth of who you are. This is the pattern of your sign. To outgrow, to move on, to seek the higher ground. And though it can be lonely, it is always sacred. Destiny does not call you to remain silent. Calls you to speak. Destiny does not call you to hide. Calls you to shine. Destiny does not call you to shrink. It calls you to expand beyond everything you thought possible. And the breaking you endured was the signal, the initiation. Because had you been left comfortable, you would never have moved. Had you been accepted, you would have stayed. But because you were pushed away, you now stand on the threshold of your true life. Sagittarius, do you feel it? The fire stirring in your chest, the vision rising in your mind, the clarity settling in your bones. This is not the end. This is your beginning. This is the moment Jupiter, your ruling planet, has prepared you for. To live not in half-truths, but in full alignment. To walk not in the shadows of others' approval, but in the blazing light of your own authenticity. And here is the most sacred truth. Destiny is not just about where you are going. It is about who you are becoming. Every silence that hurt you has carved your strength. Every rejection has sharpened your clarity. Every illusion that broke has refined your truth. And now, when you step forward, you do not step as the one who was excluded. You step as the one who carries wisdom, fire, resilience, and a light no one can extinguish. Remember the old teachings. In the Bhagavad Gita it is said, "Better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live an imitation of another's perfectly." This is your reminder, Sagittarius. Do not live anyone else's story. Do not linger in places where your fire is dimmed. Do not wear masks to keep the peace. Live your truth, even if your voice shakes, even if your path diverges, even if others cannot follow. Because destiny's call is not a whisper you can ignore forever. It grows louder until you move. And if you try to resist, the universe will keep shaking the ground beneath your feet until you realize. The discomfort was not rejection, it was redirection. You are not being abandoned. You are being guided. So breathe deeply, Sagittarius. Lift your bow. Aim your arrow. The world beyond the horizon is waiting. The life aligned with your soul is calling. And though it may feel uncertain, though it may feel lonely, remember this. Every Sagittarius before you, every ancestor who carried this fire, walked through the same threshold. You are not alone. You are part of a lineage of seekers, of truth-bearers, of wanderers who trusted the call. And when you say yes, when you release the arrow of your destiny, you will find not emptiness but a new home. A home not built of walls or approval, but of freedom, purpose, and light. Conclusion: the sacred homecoming. Sagittarius, every story of departure is also a story of arrival. Every ending is a doorway. And every time you are asked to leave a place, whether gently or with silence, it is because the universe is preparing you for a return. Not to the same space, but to the sacred home of your soul. Look back for a moment. Think of the countless times you thought you were losing everything. The friendships that dissolved, the jobs that ended, the doors that closed. At the time it felt like rejection. But now, with the clarity of hindsight, can you see? Each loss redirected you. Each silence pushed you toward a truer path. Each departure carved space for something better. What you thought was an exile was actually a homecoming. Sagittarius, your true home is not a house, not a relationship, not even a community. Your true home is the fire in your chest, the arrow of truth you carry, the freedom of your spirit when it lives without chains. When you live aligned with that fire, you are never homeless. When you walk guided by that arrow, you are never lost. When you trust that freedom, you are always exactly where you are meant to be. The voices that silenced you? They only showed you how much your truth matters. The places that no longer welcomed you? They revealed how much bigger your destiny is. The illusions that shattered? They unveiled the unshakable ground beneath your feet. And now, as you step forward, you no longer carry the weight of needing to belong. You belong to yourself. And when you belong to yourself, the right people, places, and opportunities cannot help but find you. This is your sacred homecoming. The realization that you were never truly cast out. You were guided inward, toward the only home that cannot be taken, your soul. From there, everything else flows. From there, you attract what aligns. From there, you live not in fear of leaving, but in the joy of arriving again and again to new horizons. Sagittarius, may you always remember. Light does not ask permission to shine. Freedom does not apologize for being free. And truth does not fade just because it makes others uncomfortable. You are the archer. You are the flame. You are the traveler destined not just to leave places, but to discover the whole sky was always your home. So take a breath. Lift your gaze. Ahead lies a horizon wider than any you've known. And as you walk forward, know this. You are not leaving. You are returning. Returning to yourself, to your destiny, to the sacred space that has always been yours. Sagittarius, your home is not behind you. It is within you, and it is waiting.